Welcome to Spotlight VT, the current affairs programme concerning Shearing Plough, the business and its employees. This new programme is an experiment following the recent survey carried out in Spotlight, your house newspaper. You told us you wanted news more often and more up to date. So with this edition of Spotlight VT, we'll be catching up on the current state of business with Howard Norfolk, Kenny Scrimger, Adrian Haigh and John Milliard. We'll be talking to George Brown and John Drinkhill about Mildenhall. Plus an interview with Managing Director Peter Martin, who'll be looking at future plans. In addition, we'll be getting your comments on communications, and we'll be talking to Judy Bennison on the current state of the Shearing Plough Social Club, and spotlighting up-and-coming football manager David Pinkowski, who's aiming for the Premier League. But first, let's talk to Howard Norfolk about the financial situation in 1994.
Well, 94 so far has been a very good year for us. We're currently 22% ahead of prior year as a company. Admittedly, currently 4% behind plan, but we do anticipate by the year end that that will in fact be on plan or maybe slightly above. That will put us 23% ahead of 1993 and 19% ahead of 1992. And I'm pleased to be able to tell you that as at the end of the first week of the company's October, we are spot on plan.
So how do these figures translate into our position in the industry?
One of the measures that we use currently is the ABPI Relative Sales Index, which is a measure of ex-factory sales on a monthly basis. Now that is the industry benchmark, and it includes all the major players. In August, Shearing Plough, I'm pleased to report, was first in the table. Perhaps more meaningfully, though, year to date, 1994, we are currently third, and I would expect at least that position to be maintained until year end, possibly pushing up to second place.
Products that have headed this performance include Claritin, Elecon and Diprobase. And there are star performers in the hospital business too.
Both Intron and Drodgenil are storming at the moment, and really storming is the word that I would use. Drodgenil sales look as if we're going to finish between 40 and 45% above last year, and Intron, compared to 5% growth in 1993, looks as if it's going to finish the year on about 30% growth, so a tremendous result really from the two major hospital division products. Really, we don't see any reason why the growth should slow down to any great extent. As far as Intron is concerned, we are expecting to get approval for use of interferon in hepatitis C, which is an indication with significant potential.
1994 has also seen innovative launches.
Perhaps the most exciting element of growth is the launch of our new product Optimune for the treatment of chronic conjunctivitis in dogs. This product will account for about 25% of our growth this year.
Now, as you know, we have Cedax as well to add to the portfolio, of which we expect great things in 95. We've aimed heavily at advertising and general awareness of Cedax. We've, I think, kitted out the sales force with more materials right across the board to support Cedax effectively.
And of course, Cedax is good news for Mildenhall too.
This is a new project for us. It involves the packaging of Cedax capsules and suspension into their final package form for the product launch in the UK. We are looking at the possibility of developing Cedax packaging further. There is a proposal now in the US to start packaging Cedax into a sachet. Last week, a number of us went across to look at the new sachet machine in Birmingham, and the proposal incorporates the packaging of Cedax powder into a sachet, followed by final packaging of the product ready for the market.
So things are looking good at Mildenhall, a point not lost on local MP Richard Spring, who visited the plant recently, where George had an important message for him.
We've seen so many manufacturing jobs disappear to the Far East and to other countries. I think we need to try and protect jobs in the UK and utilise the manufacturing skills that we have in this country.
Mildenhall is now well into a 3-year rolling programme to upgrade the plant to meet GMP standards required by Europe. This includes, of course, tablet production, where orders are rolling in. Globetrotting Contracts Director John Drinkhill.
There are a number of very interesting new orders and contracts coming up, one of which is the Italian consumer feeding bottle tablet. There's an order for the Libyan government for a sterilising tablet for water purification, a tablet for a large French hypermarket group, which will probably be launched early next year, and of course there's the ongoing project with the sodium perborate tablet for Alcon Pharmaceuticals. This is for soft lens contact disinfectant. And this of course does mean an excellent opportunity and an increasing business for the Mildenhall plant.
So that's the state of business so far. Now, what about communications? Many of you answered a survey on the subject. Here's just some of your views on Spotlight magazine.
I actually like Spotlight. It keeps us well informed of what's happening in the Mildenhall area of Shear and Plough. But I'd also like to know what's going on in Heist and in the States and where it all first started. I'd just be interested to know different things apart from Mildenhall.
Yes, I agree. I think that would be a nice idea. But I think as well for us, more of Welwyn as well.
I like it very much. It keeps us up to date with what's going on with the management side, the products, how well we are doing, how if we are doing bad, which we are not, touch wood.
What I would like to see is additional supplements in between the main publications so that we could be kept more up to date and more topical with the news.
And it's for those reasons that we're adding Spotlight VT to the communications mix. So again, what do you think?
An interesting idea. I'll tell you what I actually think of it when I've seen it.
Yes, it gives people, well, people's families a good idea then of what actually goes on.
I haven't got a video player at home, so it's going to be difficult for me, but I think it's a good idea.
I think I'd like to know more about what people get up to outside work rather than inside work. I think we tend to concentrate a lot more on what people do around work instead of what they do outside.
I think it'd be an excellent idea. I really do. Basically because you get more of a one-to-one person communication, don't you?
Well, I think it's a good idea in principle. How often will it come out?
I can't see myself ever being on it, but I'm sure I'd be quite interested to look at what other people are saying.
Oh, I think it would be wonderful. Yes, lovely idea.
I'd love to be a star.
You will be a star. Would you like to see yourself on television?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. Am I on?
One of the greatest fans of communication is Managing Director Peter Martin. Peter's style encourages contribution and teamwork. So what are his plans for 1995?
Well, that's a good question, and it's a timely question actually, because we've just come back from our annual plan presentation in Lucerne, where we present to the powers that be what we would like to achieve for 1995. And of course they may have ideas which are slightly different to ours in terms of perhaps wanting to sell more or to spend less and to be more profitable than perhaps we believe we can be. And it's always a bit of a game, to be quite honest with you, this annual exercise of going along to Switzerland to be beaten up for sales and profit. This year was no exception in terms of being a bit of a game in that way, but it was a little bit different in the way that our plan was received. Before we even started the plan presentation from the UK, my boss, Hans-Jörg Kummer, actually complimented the UK on the way it had put its plan together and on the aspirations for growth in terms of both sales and indeed profit that we'd already declared up front. So in general, we actually started with a very favourable reception to the UK plan before we'd even presented any of the specific product plans or other plans that form part of that annual plan process. Having said that, that will give you some idea that in 1995 we're trying to stretch the business just as we did in 1994. And in 1995 it's probably going to be even more difficult than it was in 94. For those businesses that we run, like healthcare, animal health and the contract business, which are still sensitive to the recession, whilst perhaps in the UK is easing somewhat, is still going to affect our business very profoundly, I think, in 1995. As regards the ethical pharmaceutical business, that's under tremendous pressure in the UK and indeed elsewhere in the world because of the kind of pressures on cost containment that governments and the National Health Service is no exception are putting on the pharmaceutical manufacturers to cut prices, to cut volumes, and in general to keep down costs to the National Health Service in any way possible. And that means we have a very tough environment in 95, at least as, and I suspect tougher than in 1994. So against that background, we've committed to grow our sales by almost as much as in 1994. I think your viewers will have heard that we've had a very successful 1994. By the end of this year, we will have increased our total sales as a company by 23%, and our plans for 1995 call on us to increase our sales by 20%. So almost as much as in 1994, but not quite. At the same time, as you might expect, we are not going to increase our expenses. Those will be kept to much more moderate figures. So we're looking for a big sales increase with a fairly modest increase in the expenses. But that's the way Shearing Plough in the UK works. We've always done that. We have grown from being virtually insignificant in the UK marketplace to now, as you say, 38th as the 38th largest pharmaceutical company in the UK, which is actually very respectable because there are many, many companies in the UK. And that means in the last year, for example, we've grown 2 or 3 places, moved up from 40th or 41st. We'll probably finish up 38th or 37th this year. And I think as long as we can continue to grow the business by the 20% or more that we're talking about in the 95 plan and beyond, then we'll always continue to move up 2 or 3 places a year, which means that obviously in 10 years' time we'll be in the top 10. Shearing Plough, however, is a very impatient corporation, and I'm a very impatient man, I have to tell you, and I'm not sure I want to wait 10 years to be in the top 10 in the UK pharmaceutical business. And in order for us to get there quicker, and I have to tell you, to get there quicker is, by organic means, is impossible. I don't think anyone would expect a company to grow more quickly than we have over a consistent period of time. And to try and grow even faster than we're promising with our existing product range would be almost impossible. Which leaves us really with one solution. There's one way that we can grow even more quickly than we are at the moment, and that's via acquisition, by which I mean buying another company or buying another product or buying some technology that will enable us to grow even more quickly than we are currently. Perhaps even to add on a slice of someone else's business so that we would automatically perhaps increase our size by 50% or maybe even 100%.
An ambitious plan, but Shearing Plough has the resource to achieve it. We're glad to report that Rep Ruth Harris is recovering after a car accident. Ruth was due to join this programme after her Spotlight survey entry was drawn out of the hat first. She wins a case of wine, and we toast her fast recovery. Someone who is with us now is new product manager Deborah Milner, who moves to Shearing Plough to complete John Millard's animal health team. And now, a man with his eye on a different job, Mildenhall engineer David Pinkowski. David is aged 32 and married with 5 girls, but it's a football team of 11 fellas that takes up his spare time. He's an amateur football club manager with lots of success to his name. His latest club is Ely, but before that he helped Newmarket Football Club hit the headlines.
Very successful, I thought, in the last 2 or 3 seasons. We've done really well. We were sort of runners up in the league, made history in the Vars and the FA Cup. Had a lot of success, and obviously topping it up last year was probably winning the Suffolk Premier Cup final at Sudbury Town last year too. So yeah, we had a lot of success that way.
Sports and social interests are high on the list for Welling's Judy Bennison. She's involved with the Shire Park Social Club, which welcomes Shearing Plough staff as members.
The next major event that's actually fixed is there's a Christmas do, where ICI are holding a fancy dress party on the 16th December. The theme is Dress to Kill.
And Julie's ready to take your bookings right now. And finally, as if the race for sales in 1995 wasn't enough, there's another race in prospect. This one will be a half marathon around Welling Garden City, sponsored by Shearing Plough. Details are still to be finalised, but the firm is looking to good runners in the company to enter. We'll certainly be setting a fast pace in the new year.